Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Mike McDowd. Mike McDude McDowd. I like that. Where'd you get the McDude moniker?
Where did I get that? Well,
Yeah.
believe it or not, I guess you were not aware of my absolute fame and fortune. I had a sports talk show in the Bay Area, and it was called the McDude Show. Mike
No,
McDude,
but I
the
mean,
McDude
where did it come from, though? I mean, where did the McDude
Oh,
come
just
from?
back then they called it McDude. It's like, dude, you gotta call your show the McDude Show. So for dudes and so forth. So yeah, they just started calling him McDude. Actually, a radio station I work by, my boss. Hey, what's up, McDude? I'm like, hey, I don't like it. But Edward, you know what today is? You know what today is?
February 18th.
Yeah,
We're
no,
recording
it's
on
all
Tuesday,
good.
the 18th. Yes. What's today?
Here's my encouraging, positive message for the day. It's a great day. It's a great day to be alive, man. That's what kind of day it is. So
There you
let's
go.
celebrate, and we get to do a sports talk show. How cool is that?
It's very good. In fact, I celebrate February 18th every year. You know why?
Why?
Because it only comes around once a year.
Oh, brilliant! No, that's astute. I love it.
Like that?
Brilliant
March
deduction,
24th
Watson.
is the same thing. Only comes around once a year. All right. Let's see. At a commercial break, we are going to ask a trivia question. Today's trivia theme, again, is miscellaneous trivia. When we come back, we're going to talk a few things here. The cash-strapped Dolphins are ready to release Pro Bowl Raheem Mostert. Maybe he'll go back to the 49ers. What do you think? Then we just had the NBA All-Star Game. The USA-Canadian hockey situation, that was kind of interesting. If they want to be our 51st state, they better get in line. All right, stay with us.
Looking forward to this, man.
Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Michael McDude McDowd. I like that. Michael McDude McDowd. All right, my friend. Where do you want to start off? There's a whole bunch of things we can talk about. Maybe start off with the NBA. How about the NBA All-Star Game?
Let's go NBA. All right. What the heck? First of all, let's start off with the highlights. Here's the highlights. Mac McClung, 6'2" out of Texas Tech. Third time he made history in the NBA. He won the dunk contest for the third consecutive year. Nobody has ever done that. His artistry, let's call it that, was compelling, engaging, and out of this world, man. I've never seen dunks like this. I know you saw the highlights. First dunk number one. He jumps over a Kia car. His buddy's in the sunroof holding the ball. He grabs the ball and he goes backwards and dunks. I mean, come on. And he did it on his first attempt, which makes it even more remarkable. What say you, Edward?
I say that's quite artistic and quite physically challenging. I would give that a 10. In fact, what's interesting is that you notice sometimes with some of these dunks, they look like they kind of elevate, pushing off of the guy that they're jumping over. He didn't look like he really did that on this one. So that's very impressive.
No, sir. And then the second dunk, which I find equally as impressive, his buddy is on a hoverboard, those little things that the kids are, So I believe he's standing there, and I think he was doing a 360. So he jumps over his friend, grabs the ball. There's another guy to his left on a ladder who's up there holding the ball. So he grabs ball number one with his right hand, ball number two with his left hand. Of course, this is radio, so we're being very descriptive here. And dunks it. I mean, who does that? These players were shocked. And what I love about this story, and you do too, he doesn't play in the National Basketball Association. He is a G League player, which I find that even more compelling. So the question is, this guy's dominating. Where are the big NBA stars? Quite frankly, where are they? I think they're afraid of this guy because nobody can put a show on like this guy. Well, no, I mean, don't you think there's some truth to this?
That's true.
We're
I
all
mean,
big
if
stars.
didn't like Jordan won it, I probably think 2 years in a row. I don't know why he didn't win it the third, unless he just didn't do it. Um, but I'm wondering, there's got to be some other reason he's not. I haven't followed him, so I don't know his game. Maybe he's not a good 3-point shooter or whatever. I mean, he's very talented, obviously, for dunking, but that's only one aspect of the game. So
Yeah,
I
I didn't look up his stats, but we'll have to do that. I don't know. There's something about him, um,
well, especially
that's
3 years in a row. I mean, he's been in the G League for 3 years, right?
yeah, right. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
So there's
Well,
there's something going on there.
actually, as you say that, if I can get this up right, which I think I can. Well, he's not. I guess he's just for the season in 23-25, he was averaging 12 points per game. I don't think he's playing a whole lot. I don't understand. At one point, I was told that he was the leading scorer in the league. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Scrap, take a break, call it a wrap.
Total overhead. Yes.
Listen to this. No, he can play. He can play. He's averaging 21 points per game, 21.1 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5.4 assists. I mean, how is that not worthy of NBA play? I don't know. What is he
Maybe,
missing?
maybe just the fantastic part about him being in the G League and winning the dunk contest. They go, no, we got to keep this guy in the G League just because it's such a fantastic story. No, I'm just kidding. I can't be it.
Well,
I don't know.
and the old adage from the great movie, "White man can't jump." Well, no, this white man can jump.
Yeah. And
You
if you
know,
remember at the end of the movie, Woody Harrelson does dunk.
that's right. That's right.
Right.
That's right. I mean,
I
and
remember.
you know, it has nothing to do with race, okay? But
No.
I believe a few years ago, another white kid from Philadelphia won the contest. So, I mean, please, you can either
Yeah.
jump or you jump. I personally can't jump. I mean, I think the best I ever did in my life was I think I touched the rim once. I just
I
had a
dunked it great. I dunked it
you
great.
dumped
That
the
was it.
rim.
Yeah,
Come on.
I couldn't dunk a golf ball or a bowling ball or any of those other balls. But well, bowling ball would be kind of challenging. But going back to the NBA All Star though,
Yeah.
what did you think? What did you think of the format? It's been getting kind of reamed quite a bit.
It's being ripped. It's being ripped. I thought it was really Bush League. The first group they played, I guess, games. I watched the first whatever quarter you want to call it. So they played to 40 points, and they had some good players. What's the guy's Muthman? I can't think of his name. They had some good players out there. Who's the really good player for Cleveland? Watamaba, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's just escaping my mind. Um, and that's how much I've been involved in the NBA. But you could see the level of play was good. Of course, a lot of 3-point shooting, dunks. Finally, there was some decent, basic basketball, great passing. But once that game ended, the level of basketball and it seemed like the care of competition just wasn't there. When Steph Curry played in the last game, and it was, and not only that, not only was it not really good basketball, they're really complaining about the commercial breaks. There was all these extra long breaks. They really TNT during Ernie, Charles, Kenny, and Shaq were commenting during the game that their voices went over the
Oh, the loudspeaker?
at the Chase Center.
Oh,
And
was that
so it was kind of a weird show. And also the other factor is people are really complaining about there was too much Kevin Hart. It's Kevin Hart, the comedian, who's
Yeah.
great. But he was just kind of blah, 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 blah. And actually, I've never seen an NBA All-Star game where fans are ripping it as much as they have.
Wow. What do you think they need to do to bring it back to being exciting again? Because even
Oh,
the All-Star baseball game sort of seemed to kind of lose its steam a little bit. Not as much just because it's more of an individual performance, but what do you think the NBA needs to do?
it's pretty simple, Edward. And I know you're a big basketball guy, and so am I. And I know our fans are, all of our great fans listen to us coast to coast, border to border, around the world. Thank you, U.S. military. I know you guys love basketball. Here's the bottom line: they need to play basketball. Simple. Keep the
But
game. Play,
what kind of
play,
incentive?
play
What
the
kind of
game.
incentive can? But what
Stop.
incentive can you give them? Right? Because they already make enough money. So
You know, I don't know. In baseball, they were given what home field advantage. I don't know if you can do that in the NBA. Do you give a
Yeah.
team?
That to me, that home field advantage thing is stupid because
Yeah, I agree.
you don't know which team is actually going to make it into the World Series from that end of it.
That's true.
Um,
That's true. That's true.
I don't know. Maybe you give a team like, well, the thing is, I don't know how you do that with the team. Yeah, because the players play for different teams. It's like, you give 3 extra wins or something, for their team if they're, But the thing is, they keep changing. So I don't know how you do it. I'm sure they'll come up with something. Try to be creative.
With the point you just made, well, you don't know which team is going to make it to the World Series, but maybe that point is moot because if the National League wins, a National League team is going to have the home field advantage, or the AL is going to have that. With the NBA, they've got. I think the number one complaint is that they're just not playing basketball. I mean, some of the stoppage of play, the cheerleaders dancing, more
and even
rap
those
concerts.
Yeah, but even an in-play tournament type thing, it's just kind of crazy. Tell you what, let's go to our first commercial trivia question break here. Whose life is, quote, the theory of everything, unquote, based on? There was a movie called it was a movie actually called The Theory of Everything. Whose life was that based on? I saw the movie, but
I'll wait for the answer.
Yeah, okay. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. Edward Brown and Mike McDowell will be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowell. That's like that. That rolls off the tongue, baby. I'll tell you. All right. So there was a movie, and I'm not sure if it was even a book, but it was a movie called The Theory of Everything. And whose life was that based on?
It's about a movie. It's called The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh with Dr. Julius Erving.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
No,
Einstein.
No, close. The physicist, the guy in the wheelchair, Stephen Hawking.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. He just passed on.
You mean Stephen Hawkins?
Stephen Hawking. Yeah, that was his name.
Supposed
to be a brilliant guy.
Talk about an interesting human being. Yeah. He was a. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of felt sorry for him. I don't think he was a man of faith and doubted God and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know. I just hope he's okay now. I really do.
I know my own. This is just me personally, just giving my own personal opinion. I think he was mad at God for his situation, physical situation, and that kind of pushed him into not believing. Of course, the thing is, how do you get mad at somebody you don't believe in? Right? I'm angry at God, but I don't believe in him. Well, then what are you angry at? You got to believe in him first to be angry, and then God can deal with the anger. Okay, let's see here. So now staying with sports, we're a sports team. So USA plays Canada in some kind of a game called hockey, and
we've heard of it.
And the Canadian fans boo when the national anthem for the United States happened, probably only because Trump was looking to get them to be the 51st state. I don't know how serious he is about that, but it sure riled up a few people.
Well, what the heck is his name? Trudeau. What's his first name? Pierre? No, that was his father, Pierre.
Yeah, Justin.
Thank you. Yeah, kudos to you, Justin Trudeau, who is not very beloved. I don't know how this guy won the vote up there, but regardless, that's the beauty of hockey. And you know what? I love our Canadian friends. My grandmother was Canadian, but shame on you, Canada, your Canadian fans, for booing us, the United States of America. The game was played in Montreal. If I'm an American player and I'm an American citizen, I'm pretty ticked off about that. I get it. It makes sense. And
Well,
9 seconds,
I mean,
they got into it, man. It was awesome. There's no love. Listen, there's no love lost between these two teams. In fact, the last time these two teams played was in 2022 in the Olympics. And so, this tournament is really clever by the NHL. There's a chance that Canada and the U.S. will play again for another, possibly a championship run, I believe. And it's just, it makes the game of, listen, there's no love lost. The passion in the game is there. It shows the physicality of it, but it shows the passion. Hockey is
oh yeah.
about passion. If you don't
Well,
have
yeah,
passion, you can't do anything.
when you get 9 seconds and start getting into a fight, there was a raunchy movie back in 1977, I think it was, with Paul Newman called Slapshot. And if you ever saw the movie, it was about hockey. And the same sort of thing, 9 seconds into it, boom, start fighting. And again, it's definitely not a movie you show to your children. It's definitely raunchy. It's funny, but it's raunchy. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, Edward, a good question for you and all of our listeners. You talk about being clever and innovative. You talked about, well, what is the NBA going to do? Well, this is what the NHL did, which I find actually extremely brilliant. I don't know about brilliant, but clever, yes. So, the U.S. and Canada was the marquee matchup of the four-nation face-off, which was also included Sweden and Finland. It was this tournament replaced the NHL All-Star game. I find that compelling. I find that's something I want to watch. Maybe the U.S., perhaps the
For the NBA.
NBA should take the same approach by playing, Europe versus America or
Yeah.
other nations versus whatever. I think the NHL has the answer because people watch this thing, and not only did they watch, they were riveted by what they saw.
Yeah.
And we're talking, and guess what? You and I and this show, sadly, and I take blame personally, we don't talk a lot about the NHL. And we should. It's a great sport. But we don't, but we're talking about it now.
Oh, yes, we are. And I could see where if it's a matter of national pride, you actually might get a lot more better basketball playing if it's going to be, right? It's USA versus the world type of situation.
Couldn't agree with you more. I mean,
especially now with there's so many good European players, especially the ones that are in the NBA. Jokovic, that sort of those kind of players, right? Yeah, it's crazy. I'm just thinking about what happened a few weeks ago when Doncic gets traded from the Mavericks, and like right away. Trying to remember. Gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. Who did he get traded for from the Lakers?
It was
Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis.
AD, Anthony Davis.
He gets hurt like right away, and kind of crazy. I mean, I would have looked at that too, and I don't understand why would they trade Doncic, especially for AD, who kind of gets hurt a fair amount, and Doncic was like the main guy for Dallas. I mean, of course, they got Kyrie Irving and all that, but crazy.
So Doncic, the only thing about him is that there's a little bit of a knock against him, and here's what the take is. Even his head coach Jason Kidd said this. There was some concern about the way he takes care of himself, his physicality, the way he trains. He's not serious about what he eats. Perhaps maybe the other lifting weights, whatever. But and they were concerned about him gaining weight during the season. And the question was, well, who gains weight during the season? Well, he does. But with that said, that doesn't mean I don't think it takes away from his game. He's still one of the best players in the entire NBA.
Yeah,
I mean if he can play.
Yeah, if he's that's my threshold is can he play? I mean, there's some guys when they gain too much weight, that you can tell that they're just not playing well. They can't run up and down the court because they weigh too much. That's fine, but Didn't see that with Doncic.
Not with him. There wasn't. I mean, Pablo Sandoval, who played for the Giants, always had a weight problem.
Yeah.
Let's talk about maybe the. Let's talk about. I almost don't even want to say arguably. I think the best overall player, as far as multiple positions, Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth
Yeah.
was a big jovial party man, and the man
Good,
can
good
play.
comparison. Yeah. He was a
You know, he
pitcher,
could
then he was
play.
an
He could
outfielder.
play.
Yeah. Yeah.
He could pitch. He could do it all. What would he be like if he was playing baseball today? I think he'd be just as fabulous as he was back then. You
Yeah.
know, we're never going to know. So it's speculation
Uh,
and conversation, but it makes for a good dialogue for sure.
sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
but I salute the NHL for the way that they did this All Star game. I think it was fantastic. And I
Yeah.
think the NBA needs to wake up and say, hey, these people are talking about hockey and not our game. In fact, there's more criticism about our game. You know, it was like it was a show within a show. Kevin Hart, too much Kevin Hart. I agree with that because I was watching the game and I'm like, why is Kevin Hart constantly talking? You know, Charles Barkley, love Ernie. You know, actually, they honored Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles during a break. Actually, during the game, they actually honored TNT and they said, you know, are they? I appreciate what they did, and I do love them. I really do. I really like the broadcast, but you know, the broadcasters, do they need to be brought out there during the NBA All Star game? They were given gifts. They were given autographed shirts. They were actually given NBA All Star rings, and then,
Really? Uh,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And then,
going back to hockey for just a second.
yeah,
In past years, when they had the NHL All-Star game, uh, those guys actually played hard, didn't they? It wasn't like the NBA where they just like no defense type of thing.
as far as I know, they always played hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there had to be, and I don't recall, but I'm sure there had to be fights during NHL All Star games. I there's bad
Yeah,
blood.
probably
I
is.
don't know. I can't answer that.
Probably was. But probably not as much though, because nobody wants to get hurt during an all-star game, especially if it doesn't really matter for anything. Okay, you ready for our next trivia question here? All right, so far you're 0 for 1. I'm so disappointed in you. I'm just kidding. Okay. Um, actually, this one's kind of this one's kind of tough. All right, what was the first cereal mascot? The first cereal mascot. Should I
Well,
give you a
something
hint?
comes.
Go
Uh,
ahead. Yeah, see if you
do you want
know.
me to give you a hint? Can I say it
Yeah.
now, or do you want me to wait?
Um,
Is it? Put it this way: are his initials TT?
no,
Oh,
no. We have to. You have to go back further than Tony the Tiger. That's what you meant, right? Tony the Tiger. Yeah,
yeah.
I think he came in the 1930s. This one you have to go back to the 1800s. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder which was
What
that
kind of cereal?
post cereal? Was it
No,
post CW
no,
post? I bet
don't be guessing now. We got to let the audience have a shot at it.
Kellogg's.
Hold on,
Okay, all
stay
right.
with us. Stay with us, audience. You're listening to Sports Econ
That's a good
101. Don't
one.
touch that phone. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Mike McDude McDowd. I might mix that up one time. I might say Mike McDowd McDude, but it's Mike McDude McDowd.
No problem. Just don't call me late.
Oh yeah, they're very late for dinner. Okay, what was the first cereal mascot? And mascot, unfortunately, gives you the you keep thinking of Tony the Tiger or you know
You know
this.
what? Was it Kellogg's cornflakes? Was there a
No,
rooster?
no, the
Oh,
rooster on the cornflakes. No, it is actually it's a human being.
really? Was it a
Yeah.
president? Was it a
No,
president?
no.
Eh,
I'll give you the year, which probably won't help, but 1877. So basically, this guy was on the cereal. If I remember correctly, it wasn't a box; it was more of a cylinder, and I think it's still in existence. You ready?
Was it Wild Bill Hickok? Was it Davy
No,
Crockett?
no. It was the Quaker Oats man. Remember the guy with the pilgrim hat?
Oh, yeah. Well said. Well
Yeah,
said.
Quaker Oats.
Uh,
Yeah. So
hey, you know how
never
you
liked.
do a trivia, huh?
I never
You know
liked
how
it,
you do
but
it.
good.
No, you know how you are always clever with your joke of the day, your little
Yes.
anecdotes and stuff.
Yes.
I want to bring something to the show. Great sports quotes, and this one just came by me 2 seconds ago, and I think you know what, I'm just gonna have a little fun with this one.
Okay. Go ahead.
Who said this? You'll love this one. I always felt that my greatest asset was not my physical ability; it was my mental ability. I find this quote a little hypocritical in some respects. You know who said that great quote?
It can't be. It
You'll
can't
never
be
guess it.
Yogi Berra, and it can't be.
No, no. Put it
Who
this way, he
died?
was one of. Hold on, this is your clue. He was one of America's great. He was
Bob
one of
Bucher.
America's great track athletes.
Oh, uh, Carl Lewis. Bob Beeman. No, he
Let,
was more
let,
of a long jumper.
I'm going to give you the
Jesse
year
Owens.
that he was an Olympian. Are you ready for this?
Jesse
Think about
Owens.
this.
Go ahead.
Nope, no. 1976 Montreal Olympics.
Bruce Jenner. Oh, that's
Yes.
funny.
I
That's
mean, it's
funny.
almost like my mental ability is my greatest. Okay, Bruce, sure,
Yeah, I
whatever.
know.
Sorry, that one just
He's,
struck me. I had
he's,
to,
he
I had
probably
to
is
get
a
it
smart
out.
person, but that just cracks me up because of Bruce turning into Caitlyn. Okay, but you mentioned my famous jokes. Okay, you ready?
Yeah,
So here's a
yeah.
silly joke of the week, but this is one you don't tell your wife. All right? Here we go. So Johnny asked his friend Tony whether he had bought his wife anything for Valentine's Day. Yes, came the answer from Tony, who was a bit of a chauvinist. I bought her a belt and a bag. Oh, that was very kind of you, Johnny added. I hope she appreciated the thought. And Tony smiled as he replied, So do I. And hopefully the vacuum cleaner will work better now with a belt and a bag. Like I said, don't tell that one to your wife. I didn't tell that to my wife because I figured I'd be vacuuming the house for the next 20 years. So didn't want to do
Hey,
that.
hey,
Yeah.
Edward, great question. I know you do a lot of traveling, and I'm not making fun of this at all. This is actually a serious question because we want to talk
Yeah.
about cultural events as well. We're not just a sports talk show. But what's going on with our air travel, our airline, the airplane, the Delta airplane that flipped over in Canada? Something's
Well,
really strange out there.
that one, I mean, if you looked, it looked like it was on ice. So my
It
guess
did,
is,
it did, it did.
yeah, it
But
slid and
you
somehow, I don't
would
know
think
how.
that the runway folks would be very cognizant of what this
Yeah,
situation. So I just pray that our airline travel gets safer, and it
yeah,
is safe. Mostly I know you travel a lot by plane, but our air travel is very safe. Of course, when something happens, it's breaking news.
sure.
You know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I don't know how it flipped over, but amazingly, nobody died. A few people
oh,
were
whoa,
hurt, but
what a blessing, huh? What an
yeah,
absolute miracle.
I know.
Um,
In fact, you remember the one plane that I think it was Aloha Air or something, where the whole top came off, and for the last like few thousand feet, they had to go without a top. In fact, what was interesting
yes,
for me personally was I don't know if I mentioned the story before, but back in like 1990 or 91, we were flying into, I think it was Long Beach, to go visit a friend. Excuse me, and as we landed, the pilot said, "Well, we're not going to be landing. But we were supposed to come into gate 22, but we're going to go into gate 3." Okay, well, what do we care, right? But as we're going and it's nighttime, we see bits of airplane on fire, and there's like 15
sir.
fire engines like up ahead. And we're going, "What's going on?" And it was very smart for the pilot to just keep us all in suspenders on that, right? So we get out, and our friend met us at the gate. Back then, you could meet people at the gate, and he just gave us this big hug, and it was like almost crying. I mean, what's going on? He goes, "Well, look at the monitor. It was a U.S. air flight just before us had landed on top of another airplane."
Oh my goodness.
And there were pictures. If you go back to, I think it's 1990 or 91, you'll see that. And it was like from plane from Seattle to San Francisco to Long Beach, and we were on basically the same flight, but we were on like the next hour after that. So
Right.
that was and
And then
I,
were people killed or hurt? Were
yeah,
people
a
killed?
few people died on that one, but yeah, it's crazy. How does an airplane land on top of another airplane?
I don't know,
Crazy.
man. That's crazy. But our pilots are so gifted and talented, and of course, our thoughts are with these folks. Thank God nobody was hurt. And of course, the previous air crash in Washington D.C. with those,
Yeah,
we lost all those lives and those military
yeah.
folks that are so
Oh,
brave. And so, but
and on the other one,
uh,
people did get hurt, but nobody died, which was good. Hey, tell you what,
yeah.
going back to sports for just a minute, I was reading that the cap strapped Dolphins were releasing Pro Bowler Raheem Mostert. Um, is it cash strapped or cap strapped or both, or I mean, these guys they seem like they have unlimited money. These owners. And I guess some of them don't care and they just pay the extra, uh, the penalty, right? They have that in
This was
baseball, don't they have that in football?
and this was the Dolphins. Did you say?
Dolphins, yeah.
Yeah, who? Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. I mean, listen. If he's that valuable to this team, it's simple. He stays. For some reason, there's some sort of, you know,
Yeah,
some
releasing
sort
them.
of knock on him, and they got rid of him. I mean, why would you do that? I don't know. What direction are they? Obviously, they're going in a new direction. Are they cash strapped? I don't think
Yeah.
so. I think you just said it
No.
beautifully.
Now you're in the Jacksonville area, and apparently Trevor Lawrence is very happy there, even though the team's not doing well.
Yes, you saw that.
Are you a Dolphin fan or a Jaguar fan or both or neither?
I'm a Niners fan. I don't care
You're
about
still
the
a Niners
Jacksonville
fan.
Jaguars. I
Okay.
will tell you this. I like the Miami Dolphin uniforms. That's all I'm going to say. The white with
Yeah.
the teal and the orange. I don't care. I mean, I'm a California guy. I mean,
Hey,
this is a great state,
and
but
what are you doing in Florida?
uh, just different life here. People are
Different life
nice
there? Yeah.
here. They'll
Yeah.
talk to you in the store here. They'll say good morning, God bless you, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you know
there's
what?
something very true.
Believe it or not, things are changing in California. Believe it or not,
Are people
you'd
getting
be
more
surprised.
friendly? Because you walk down the
Yeah.
streets of San Francisco, or where you and I are from, who lived in
Yeah.
Marin County, a suburb of San Francisco, the Bay Area. I found people not very hospitable. Hey, how are you? They give you a snotty look, and maybe it was me, but I'm a pretty friendly person, and I just
Yeah.
got tired of it. It's like, come on, what's up with the attitude?
How long have you been in Jacksonville?
Well, I've been commuting back and forth. I've been here about a few years, just a few years now.
A few years. Okay. I want to come visit you in
You
Jacksonville. I
should.
mean,
I'm going to
we
come visit
actually.
you too. I got
Yeah.
family back home. I definitely want to come. I'm going to be coming home soon, so I got
Okay.
family to go see. We'll get together. Hey, listen. Speaking of which, I always complain about this, and I'm not going to. I'm going to make sure I don't fail on this show either. But college basketball. I know you like college basketball. I know our fans like college basketball. But I'm just going to do the same old song and dance. And I don't mean to bore
Good.
people, but top 20. I mean, Auburn number 1. Duke is. Florida's number 2, which is amazing. But here's my knock. Top 25, again, one team out of the West. Only one team out of the West, which happens to be good old Arizona, is in the top 25. Uh, what is it? No, they're actually number 19.
Wait,
What does
no
that tell me about what?
Gonzaga, no UCLA, no Bears, nothing.
What does that tell you about the state of college basketball in the West? It's bad.
They're all playing soccer.
Wow, I got nothing to say. It's sad. I hope things change. I really do. And by the way, Gonzaga is going to go to the Pac-12. St. Mary's of Moraga, which is a good basketball school out of the West Coast Conference. They're also considering going to the new Pac-12 or whatever they call it, Pac Pacific Conference, and that's
Yeah.
kind of interesting news.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? No thoughts?
Things how
How
to,
about
good.
How about this? We talked about Caitlin Clark, WNBA. We don't talk a lot about the WNBA a lot,
Yeah.
but interesting enough, I think that league owes Caitlin Clark so much gratitude and thanks for her really resurrecting that league. The fact that we're even talking about it, says it all. But her agent says, and her agent interestingly says, there's no way that the WNBA can financially pay her what she's worth. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, she'll get it from endorsements. If the game will get as interesting as people will want to watch it, right? I mean, listen, it's so much different. Like 15 years ago, or whatever, if you watched women's basketball, to me, it was really boring. It definitely got better. I mean, I'd watch like not the games per se, but I'd watch the highlights, and it was like, yeah, a lot of these women can really shoot. It's still not comparable to the NBA, but they've definitely gotten better. And it's going to be where the money is. I mean, if it's going to be like, who more people would want to see women in well, again, it's a very chauvinistic thing, but just that's the way the world is. They'd rather see like women in bathing suits than men in bathing suits, right? I mean, just comparing bathing suits, right? I mean, like, if who's going to go to okay, this is really crass, but who's going to go to a mud wrestling thing for men versus women, right? And again,
I agree.
If we're trying to compare exact sports to exact sports, that's what I'm trying to do, right? Like if they had women's women baseball, right? I mean, they do have softball, which is interesting, but it's just a physical thing. That's all it is. It's just more people want to see a game that's more physical. More people would want to see LeBron James and Stephen Curry rather than Edward Brown and Mike McDowd playing basketball, right? It's just strictly viewership.
It's easy. It's simple.
It comes down to. That's all I'm saying. Again, but I really do appreciate what Caitlin has done to the WNBA, as well as some of the other players. I mean, some of them are really very, very talented, and it is fun to watch. I watched the college women's basketball tournament last year, because it was interesting. Tell you what, hey, let's go to our last trivia question here, and back to another cereal question. What is the number one cereal that's purchased? What's number one? All right. So hold on. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Not afraid.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd. Third trivia question, back to cereal question. What is the number one bought cereal? Go ahead, Mike. What do you think?
Well, something comes to mind. I always ate it as a kid.
Go ahead.
Cheerios.
Yes. Cheerios, yeah, and this is actually going back to 2021. Cheerios sold 139 million boxes. I'm guessing that a lot of it has to do with mothers giving these treats to their toddlers, because that's what we used to do. Because I hated Cheerios myself. But go ahead, you were going to say a comment on the air that we had cut off too soon.
Oh, well, first of all, hopefully I got one more great quote for you, by the way. Yeah, real quickly. Yeah. I mean, listen, regarding the WNBA, I think a lot of people and sports in general, ESPN, just keep politics out of sports. We don't care about politics. We watch sports to get away from political things. It's kind of our escape. No, it is our escape. And so just play the sport for the love of it. Convey why it's such a great sport and just play it so we can just sit there and enjoy it. And that's really what sport. We don't want to hear about political ideology. If we want that, we'll watch CNN, Fox. Exactly. We'll watch all that other political garbage. But no, sports as a whole. Yeah. So ESPN, the reason that they have fallen down so mightily is because of their political ideology they try to push, and we're tired of it. So,
and guys like LeBron, I want to watch you play basketball. I'm not really interested in your politics. Okay, you ready for our thoughts for the day? Here we go. What happens to an illegally parked frog? It gets towed.
Okay, not bad.
It's a shame nothing is built in the USA anymore. I just bought a TV and it said built-in antenna. I don't even know where that is. Where's antenna?
Tennessee?
No, antenna. Okay. All right. Audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Hey, military.
So long.